Hey everyone, this is Danielle from Findable Digital Marketing, and I've got such a good video for you today. So as you know, I've been interviewing SEO specialists this month, and today's video is the third part of our series, and it's about Amazon SEO. So I spoke to two Amazon experts, Shawn and Andrea. They both have their own agencies and help clients sell more on Amazon. So they know, you're gonna see in this video that they know their stuff. We got into the nitty-gritty details about SEO and the algorithm over at Amazon, and it was intense. So I've been having these interviews on Facebook Live. I've been putting out just the first 15 to 30 minutes of the interviews, just for you to get a sneak peek and just get, like, you know, the meats of it. But I decided I'm going to put the whole thing, I'm going to put the whole interview we had on Facebook Live. It's an hour long, so it's long, but it is super informative. Everything from the beginning to the very, very end, they just kept dropping gems. So I think you're gonna really like this. Let me know in the comments if you have any questions or what your thoughts are. And yeah, I hope you enjoy it. I hope it's helpful to you, and I'll see you next week. Ciao. Awesome, we're live.
Hey.
And that's the segue. Hello. Yeah, if you're watching, let us know where you're watching from. Do you have a product that you're thinking about selling on Amazon? Do you have your own e-commerce website? Let us know who you are. And that's a good segue. So I guess I'll start with you, Shawn. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, my name's Shawn He. I run a Amazon digital PPC agency. Help Amazon sellers scale, make their stores a little bit more profitable. I also have been selling on Amazon for the past 3 years. This year, over $1 million in sales. So Nice. It's been pretty exciting. Yeah.
And what kind of businesses do you have? Do you have like a specific industry that your agency focuses on, or a little bit of everything?
Our agency focuses on just specifically Amazon businesses. So we support businesses in all markets. So what we'd like to do is, not only do we do PPC, but we also do a little bit of supply chain forecasting. So we really help clients streamline their supply chain, as well as making sure that they're ordering based on what they need and not based on historical sales. So as you know, items are a little bit more seasonal. So we have the ability to forecast ahead based on historical sales. And that just brings a little bit more top line margin back into the owner.
Awesome. And how about you, Andrea? Tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do.
Yeah, so I have a similar story. Started selling products on Amazon, as well as my own website. And then later on, of course, Amazon has that once you get bitten by it, you just want to throw more into it, help more people get more visibility, get more sales. And so I started an agency as well, and have been helping clients who have kind of hit a lull in their sales, or like a recent client, they hit a lull about 160,000 a month in sales, and they just couldn't figure out how to get over the hump, except for their peak sales months. And so they were really just focusing on their peak sales month, and they kind of were lost for what to do for the remaining 10 months of the year. And so we came in and we do full Amazon account management, where we are not only focused on their PPC, but focused on the optimization, focused on external marketing, so that we're able to drive Amazon traffic, but then also, of course, Amazon loves when you drive traffic to their website, but driving specific clientele or customers to their products, so that we can have more control over their sales as well. So we were able to take them from 160 to now doing a solid 300 a month, after a couple of months of working together. Of course, we had a peak month as well, where we were close to a little over 400,000 in sales. And I only say these numbers because I always get tickled when people are like, well, should I get on Amazon? Should I not? Is it really worth it? Amazon is knocking off products, blah, blah, blah. And so when they hear these numbers, the wheels begin to churn as to the possibilities. And so that is one of the main reasons why I focus on the numbers, as well as making sure that you have a outstanding in-demand product for Amazon.
I love this. This is so I love like the business talk, the analytical talk. This is fantastic. So for those that are just chiming in, we're talking about Amazon SEO, how to sell a product organically on Amazon. How can you understand the algorithm a little bit more so that you can use it to your own advantage? And so Shawn and Andrea both have agencies in there. They're here to tell us a little bit more about it. So if you are thinking about selling on Amazon or you want to, let us know in the comments and feel free to ask your questions. That's why we have this live, so that you can ask in live time. So maybe what I'll do is alternate between the two of you. So Shawn, can you tell us a little bit about what the advantages are of selling on Amazon versus having your own, for example, Shopify website? And maybe I should even ask, is it against Amazon's policies to like have both?
So I can say that I'm not exactly an expert on Shopify. That's something I'm definitely trying to explore myself personally. But I can tell you that customers who are on Amazon are obviously going to be more likely to buy because they're on Amazon for a purchase, for a reason to buy a product. Whereas if you have a Shopify store, usually you're just trying to generate traffic to that site and trying to essentially convince. There's some interest from the customer, but essentially you're putting them through certain funnels to convince them to buy your product. And with that being said, I guess Shopify products usually have a little bit higher margins, whereas Amazon, because people are more likely to buy, supply and demand comes together, and usually your margin is a little bit lower. You can still get to about 40-50% margins before ad spend, but from my understanding, Shopify has even higher margins than 40-50%.
Andrea, do you think there are certain businesses that do better on Amazon versus having their own platforms like Shopify?
You know, and I love what he said was that, you know, you have to look at your margins, look at, you know, what you can do offline and offline on your website versus on Amazon. And so I definitely see the benefits of diversifying, having your website sales as well as Amazon. And it depends on the product, which is how well it's going to do on Amazon. So I've talked to, you know, Shark Tank people who are like, hey, I have amazing sales on Amazon, and that's where my bread and butter is. My website kind of is the icing on the cake. And then other people are like, hey, my products are doing amazing in store, and I have Amazon as well, moving inventory as well. And so it's number two. And so it really depends on the product and how much is in demand on Amazon. And like Shawn has alluded to, is which Amazon has trained their customers to buy. You don't go to Amazon to peruse and look down the aisles, but a Shopify website, we have to have that know, like, trust factor built in. We have to, most time you're putting people through a funnel, and then they have to see, you know, how much do I like it? And then what do customers naturally do? They go to Amazon, do a price check, see if it's on Amazon, because Amazon already has all the information stored. It's a one-click checkout. The psychology of Amazon is, I'm going to make this as easy as possible for you to make that transaction, which is an order for our sale. And Shopify is getting closer to making that happen, but you have to do a lot more clicks to get that same end result. So margins are definitely higher on Shopify and then Amazon, because of course Amazon is getting a bite. So I like to look at Amazon like equated to a wholesale purchase. So we want to look at Amazon as a wholesaler. And so the name of the game is moving quantity of products, and to get those margins that we really want, to get the profit that we really want, versus your Shopify is more B2C, which is business to customer, which is, you know, one at a time. You're driving traffic with your ads or, you know, social media, things of that nature.
I like that you made that comparison. That makes it a lot easier to understand. That you could be targeting different audiences on top of just not just the product that you're selling. I want to talk a little bit more about the algorithm. So it seems to be, I've been researching, you know, Amazon and how they run their business and their algorithm, and it seems to be a huge mystery. They don't give you a lot of analytics. Now, I could have outdated information, but you're laughing, so it seems like it's not far off. So
it's not just you.
Yes, not just you.
So with SEO, with general website SEO, Google SEO, Google will tell us something. So there's something called Google Webmaster Blog. So they put up updates every week letting us know if they're going to change the algorithm. We have access to tools like Google Analytics and Google Search Console. So people complain that we don't have all that much information, but compared to Amazon, it's a lot more. So and when we talk about general website SEO, even though there's a lot of that we don't know, we can generally put into, like, I would say maybe 4 categories or 4 pillars on what the algorithm likes. So in general website SEO, you've got technical SEO, so like mobile friendliness and speed. You've got backlinks, so how other people are talking to you and linking to you. You've got content SEO and keywords. And then you could even say user experiences could be a 4th pillar. Now, is there a such thing when it comes to Amazon SEO algorithm? Would you say that there are these like categories or pillars or top 2 or 3 factors that the algorithm likes? I'll let whoever wants to respond first.
Andrea, since I went first last time, you go first this time.
Yay! Okay. So already Amazon algorithm is complex. And so a lot of it is, track record, historical. We're doing research behind the scene to see, what other sellers have found to be useful, to be helpful, to help drive into traffic. And so I guess I try to look at it from a simplex perspective. There's a customer side of the algorithm, and then there's a Amazon bot side of the algorithm. And so we know that the one key element that is non-biased is customer reviews. And so our driving force is to get as many reviews as possible to let Amazon know this product is as amazing as the seller has said. And so even when a customer is going on Amazon and there's 4 different products and they're all the same product, but they're from 4 different brands, what do? We look at the reviews. We look at the reviews, we look at the number 1 reviews, number 5 reviews to make a buying decision. And so for us, it is reviews, it's ranking, it's the optimization, and it is also your keywords, keyword phrases, and so on. And so a simplex perspective of it is, what would a customer type in naturally, organically, into the search bar of Amazon to find your product? And then there's a more technical side, which is, okay, now how many variations of that keyword phrase is there, and how many clicks are happening on there, and matter of fact, how many sales are happening from those clicks? And then we add the next level of complexity, which is, what are the competitors doing? Which words are they going after? What are their top keywords? What are the clicks from them, the sales from them? Where are we in relationship to them? Are they on page number 1 and we're on page 10,006? Okay, so maybe we can't go after the number 1 keyword right now because that'll eat up all of our PPC budget. So there's just those key factors, which is the ranking, the reviews, your optimization, and then of course those are more organic, and then you have your PPC and your marketing on top of that.
Mm-hmm. Do you have anything to add, Shawn, before I bombard you with more questions?
Yeah, exactly what Andrea said. I personally think the Amazon algorithm prefers sales and conversion over most of the other things. I think the customer buying decision is determined a lot by sales. In terms of the seller controlled side, so that's the product listing page. The seller's listing needs to be optimized to the highest volume keywords that customers search, so that it shows up, and we call it indexing. So it's indexing in the Amazon search engine, right? So in terms of like reviews and the quantity of reviews, while I do agree that quantity of reviews matter, but for customers who are just launching new products or just trying to get into Amazon, selling on Amazon, it's going to be very hard to catch up to competitors who have thousands of reviews. So in that sense, I think having like a compelling product, differentiating, a good copy can really make up for a lack of reviews.
I like that you point that out, because I say the same thing to clients all the time, is that if you notice that your competitors have set the bar this high, then it's going to be really difficult for you to catch up and and outrank them, right? So you got to find a niche. You got to find something that's going to make you different. So I like that you pointed that out. And Andrea, from what you said, it sounds like as long as you can increase the sales, everything comes naturally. So if you can improve metrics like CTR and like if you can improve your photos, like if you can improve all these little details that are going to improve your sales, then your ranking will come after. Is that right?
That is very simplistic.
Yes.
That is very, very simplistic. I would love to say once you get 100 sales, everything falls into place. And once you get 1,000 sales, everything falls into place. But there are, as Shawn mentioned, that there are several components. You know, we have limited real estate. For a Shopify website, you have all the real estate you want to make. You can make multiple pages for the same product. But Amazon, you really have one page. To make a statement, and that is make a statement to your customers and also make a statement to Amazon. And so we have the features, the product description, the photos, the video, everything that you can put your SEO keywords into as possible. And then also your brand registry. So if you're private labeling and you have a trademark, you can now take it a step further and do brand registry, which allows you access to more opportunities to do some more, and I'm going to use keyword stuffing lightly, but do more keyword stuffing into your platform, but into that listing, but also you're making a visible aesthetic presence to your customer. Because now they know, okay, not only do you have a listing, now you have a professional view, perception of what your product is. And so what we want to make sure we do is that when you look at the top brands, you take notes. How are their photos? How are they writing their product descriptions? How are they how are they featuring, using their feature bullets? How are they using their enhanced brand content? So that you can have a similar, not copied, but similar polished look and approach to when it comes to your listings. And so I think where, even if you're just starting out, and this is probably where Shawn and I may differ a little bit in what we deem as important when it comes to getting sales, is even if you're starting out with no reviews, no sales, everyone did. And so if you're trying to catch up to number one and you're saying, okay, I have 0 reviews, they have 7,000 reviews, and they probably have 15,000 sales and I have no sales, the key is you have a system in place. You have that you are going to implement to help you eventually get to the 7,000, the 15,000, and so on. And that consistency is what's going to allow you to increase in ranking as well as to increase your sales. So I hope I clarified and answered that. But you may never catch up to the number one, but you're going to outdo 10,000 other brands.
Agree with that. It's sometimes it's not, you don't have to be the number one, you don't have to be LeBron. It's okay being like, in the middle of page one.
Yes.
Instead of doing 100 units a day, you're doing 20 units a day, $20 profit. It still gives you a lot of flexibility to launch more products, right? So you can spread your assortment of items rather than just focusing on one. It's like so many different strategies that you can implement. Yeah. So I really like how you brought up about systems. I think that's very important.
Yeah. And then also product selling models. Like I've kind of talked about private label but also there's, retail arbitrage. There's the, there's just different ways that you can list a product. Like we don't have to just make a new listing. You can attach yourself to another listing. So there's different ways that we can grab the market. We just have to understand what our end result is and the pros and cons of different ways to get your product listed and seen on Amazon.
It sounds like it's all about understanding what your options are. And when you're just starting out, what's best for you where's the best place for you to start? What is realistic?
Yeah.
Awesome. So you mentioned keyword stuffing. So I wanted to talk about, unethical Amazon SEO practices. Is there like a team of people at Amazon that are keeping an eye out for these things? What are unethical? So keyword stuffing was one. Is like fake reviews a common practice? What are some things that people should definitely not do?
Shawn, take it away.
I can start this one because I'm a little bit passionate about this.
Okay.
I'm strongly against black hat. So there's something called black hat, white hat.
Mhm.
Black hat is when you're doing things illicitly against the terms of service to gain an advantage over your opponent. Um, I definitely prefer white hat because I feel like you win as a company, as an individual in the end, because you're actually absorbing new skills and you're actually learning how to do it. So right now, what's very prevalent in Amazon, so I'll just give you a little bit of a sneak peek in what I'm noticing people are doing is they're doing something called search, find, buy.
Okay.
So they have a Facebook ad. It's like, oh, test out our product for free. We'll give you a rebate. Right? They take you through a whole Facebook sequence, email sequence, and basically end up reimbursing you for a review. And because, like Andrew said earlier, you'll have like 40 or 50 5-star reviews. I think it in the long run it would degrade the quality of items on Amazon. It would take away customer confidence in the items they're buying. So that's why I'm passionate against Black Hat.
Mm. So reviews. So there
Reviews
are a lot
big.
of practices around reviews. What
Yes.
about keyword stuffing? Is that considered really serious?
No, but I'd say they slap you on the wrist for that one. You can't put in like there's certain phrases that will get you into serious trouble, but if somebody was keyword stuffing legitimate words, the most Amazon would do, I've seen people get affected by, is getting their listing suppressed, and they will notify you that. So they don't even de-index
Oh, they
you
tell you.
without even notifying you.
Oh,
They
they don't. They
notify.
don't.
No, they do notify you now.
Oh, okay.
Oh, now they do.
Yeah, now they notify you that they're gonna suppress your listing. So it's gone that the consequences have gone a lot lighter for keyword stuffing.
So once you've been penalized or they're going to suppress your listing, can you revive it? Have you done this with your agencies in the past? Have you worked with clients that you've had to recover their positioning?
When your listing gets suppressed, you can fix it within minutes. You just have
Oh,
to
okay.
be compliant with what they're asking, right? So, for example, like if you had, so in Amazon, you must have a white background in your
Mhm.
main product image. If you have any kind of logo or anything like that, they could suppress you. And when they do suppress you, they'll tell you why they suppressed you, and then you can fix it. And within 15 minutes to maybe 24 business hours, your listing will be indexed again.
Oh, okay, okay. That's much better than Google. You have to like write a letter to Google, like pleading that they forgive you.
It's like
Oh,
that
There's
for
other
reviews.
areas. There's other areas you have to plead and beg,
yeah.
but that's not one
Different
of them.
areas. Yeah. The reviews part, you'll lose your account if you get caught, and then you have to do a plan of action in which it's very hard to get your account back after
Oh,
you
okay. So it depends what
caught.
the crime is.
Yes.
Okay, I see, I see. Um, I got one question. So our email subscribers submitted some questions. I got one question about managing a bilingual account. So here in Canada, we're a bilingual country. We speak, well, theoretically, we're supposed to speak French and English. Not everyone does. And I think you're in the States, right, Andrea?
I am.
The Spanish-speaking population is really big. So what are your thoughts on this? How do you manage a French and English or Spanish and English product listing?
For me, I don't have a lot of experience managing both. Usually we do it in English and that is sufficient. So maybe Shawn has some insight on there. But typically, like if we had if we had to, I know that we would have to get some bilingual support on our team to be able to manage that, or outsource some aspects of it, especially when it comes to product description, to make sure that we are not using the Google translation, which may not work the best, but making sure that it sounds fluid, that it also meets the requirements for the algorithm for Amazon to find the products.
I think it's pretty funny that you brought that up, because in Canada, it's actually, those are legal requirements. I used to work for Walmart in some capacity, and definitely one of the rules as a retailer is that you must have French labeling done correctly in your products, but this is not the case on Amazon. So, like Andrea, I believe English is sufficient. I will say that usually on .ca, about 30% of your customers are francophone. So you know, if you wanted to optimize more of your sales, it's definitely an avenue. Like 30% is a big number in Canada.
So would that be a separate product listing?
No, actually, Amazon does the translation for you.
Oh, okay.
You could hire somebody to do it, write a copy for you in French, but I haven't even explored how to do that. So
that's fine. It was a question that someone was wondering about.
yeah.
So we talked a little bit about paid ads. It was mentioned. If you run paid ads, if you sponsor a product listing, does that help your overall Amazon SEO? Are there like hidden benefits of that? I'll leave that for you, Andrea.
Yes. Amazon is a pay to play. Just like any other platform, third-party platform. So if you pay them to get access to more of their customer base, definitely it helps you. The key is just like the social media, Facebook ads. If you don't know what you're doing, you can lose money really quickly. So we definitely want to make sure that your ads are stacked properly. Like when I first started, you know, that's when you kind of in the trenches and you're learning as you go, and you're making one ad for one ASIN or one listing, and you're like, okay, let's just see how it goes. Put $100 in there. You wake up you take a nap. 15 minutes later, your budget is spent. Or you find that Amazon never uses all of your budget, and so you're like, well, this is different from Facebook, because Facebook, if you give them $10 or $1,000, they will use every single last penny of it. And so understanding how the PPC works within Amazon is advantageous to get you on the first page while you're organically trying to move from that 10,000 page to 8,000 and so on and so forth. So it's definitely works in your favor. And there's so many YouTube videos, like, or if you use like, you know, Helium 10 or just different platforms that allow you to get the analytics from Amazon. Then you know, there's just so much training available. The key is knowing how much keywords are, knowing you know how to do placement for your ads, and also how to keep your ads seen 24 hours a day without killing your budget. So that is, but then too, like I just spoke to a prospective client, and she's like, hey, I want to jump on board and I want to launch a product. And so I'm like, okay, well, this is the budget that you have to work with. And then when she picked up her heart off the ground, I was like, okay, it's important that we are realistic with, you see all the big numbers, but there's also big ad spend. And in the beginning, you know, you may not start off with a crazy amount of ad spend. You're going to build it over time. But we have to know what those numbers look like and how it can fit into your budget. So I think you can get a lot of paid sales, and it also helps your organic sale, lifts your organic sales.
Okay, yes, this was something I was wondering, because with Google SEO, with general website SEO, if you are running ads, you get access to more analytics, more tools, and so that's an example of how ads can help out your SEO, but also vice versa. So if you have really good organic traffic and SEO on your website, then there's something called a quality score when you do Google ads, and so it will improve your quality score. When you have a higher quality score, then your cost per click goes down. So is there something like that on Amazon? Shawn, do you know of anything like that?
Yeah, so essentially when you launch a new ad campaign on Amazon, there's no sales history in that campaign. So there's definitely a penalty. Ads are more expensive, but as the campaign gains traction, gets more sales, more spend, what Amazon likes to do is then lower the cost of your bids. Okay, so I have certain campaigns that have been open since 2017. They're about, I would say, 75% cheaper than, like I'd say, a new variation that will launch in 2020. And say I wanted just to have a new campaign rather than tack on a ad group. So, you know, without going into too much detail, Amazon has like a ad, which is an ad campaign, and it's broken down to ad groups, and in the ad groups you have the keywords that you're bidding on. So instead of making like a separate ad group, what I would do is make a new campaign, and just to see like what's the cost of that kind of stuff. And what I found is about 75% cheaper
Wow,
over these past 3 years to bid on the same keyword with no
that's
sales.
huge.
Correct. So yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I've got one more question, and then we've got quite a few questions from the audience. So my last question is tools. What tools do you recommend using in the platform or outside? I've heard, like we mentioned, Amazon doesn't give you a lot of analytics or data to work with.
Yeah, so we are not actually heavy on tools. We like to do a lot of it manually, because what we found is that tools are great and they're awesome. They give you insight, but they also miss things. And so we do use tools like ASIN Inspector or Helium 10 or things along that line. And then there's even tools to where, like I mentioned earlier, if you are reselling a product that's already on Amazon and you want to sell that same product, sometimes there's a bidding war. And so there's also tools where you can change the price depending on your competitors. There's so many different tools. But for me and my agency, we like to do a lot of it manually because we're able to one, document it better, look at the trends, and then there's key things that we're looking for that we want to, that some apps don't allow us to see.
Mm-hmm. Do you have any recommendations, Shawn?
Okay. It's interesting that you said you like to do a lot of things manually, Andrea. I actually agree with that. For a long time, I did run a lot of things manually because some of the tools weren't accurate. For example, like those financial reporting tools. Pay $50 US a month. I'm in Canada, by the way, so you've got to multiply that by 1.4. So I'm paying $100 a month. They couldn't do the math as well as I could, like offline. So so I had to stop using those.
Yeah.
But I will say this: everything you need to do analytics is already in the Amazon, inside Amazon Seller Central. So Amazon actually does provide that information, contrary to what you just said. So there's something in the Amazon portal where you can download fulfillment reports.
Mm-hmm.
In theory, if you were able to, Siri's gonna go off again. Sorry about that. So if you were to, so it's called MWS. So it's an API link with Amazon. If you were able to query all that data into a database, download it all into a database, you would have so much access to deep analytics. You can do heat maps. You can break down your sales by state. You can see what time your customers like to buy. It's just like whatever the customer wants or whatever you want. That data is there for you. If you wanted to put it in Tableau, especially Tableau, like I'm a big fan of Tableau because it's just drag and drop, very easy. You could manage your inventory levels, apply a forecast to the inventory so that you know exactly what. So for example, if I forecasted sales for the next 3 months, it's going to be based on 2 years worth of history. So it's going to be a very accurate forecast. I would then be able to apply that to that data I have on Amazon, cross-compare it against my inventory levels and see how much I need to purchase over the next, say, 3 months, 4 months, right? So it's all there. In terms of tools that I use outside of Amazon, I do use a email follow-up tool. So that would be Don Master. So I'm just gonna name drop here. There's no affiliates here or anything. So I'm just gonna say what I personally like using. So I'm Master for email follow-ups. In terms of keyword tracking, finding the best keywords, I use Helium 10. So what Helium 10 is very good at is, so say I wanted to launch a product, right? Let's just say like a spatula. I go into Amazon, I search up spatula. What I can do is I can find the item number, right, for the spatula. But before I find the item number, let's take a step back. So I can go check the rankings on the actual item page, find out what's the #1 selling spatula, go into my competitor's page, copy his item number, search it up in the back end, find out all the top search volume keywords. So for example, spatula would be 40,000 search volume a day. Pink spatula would be 15,000. So it gives an entire breakdown of all your volume. Also, Helium 10 has something called a CPC giveaway. So it'll tell you what you need, how many units you have to sell within an 8-day period to catapult your item to rank 1 or page 1 on for that keyword, because every keyword is its own real estate, right?
Right.
So yeah, I believe in Helium 10. As for PPC, since I'm a PPC agency, I have a system in place. I can share like the high level strategy if anyone's interested, but yeah, we have something in-house to work with that.
Mm-hmm. So it sounds like there are a lot of tools, but you have to, same with general website SEO, you got to take with a grain of salt. Sometimes they're missing some parts. You can't always rely on them. There may be, they've got some room for improvement. This has been awesome. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Yes. Can I add one thing?
Of course. Yeah.
Yeah. I love that you broke that down, because Helium 10 is such a powerful tool that it's just having that simplicity of where do I start? Like, that was a great, like, where do I start? What do I do? How do I view my competitors? And then also just knowing, I just lost my thoughts. I'm so sorry. I was so excited and geeked out for a moment, because he went into like even the giveaway time frame. Oh, that's what it is. So even though like, one thing we have to realize is that Amazon is a sales momentum platform. So inventory is the lifeblood of course, your e-commerce business, but it's also the lifeblood of keeping your ranking and keeping your history and keeping those sales flowing. So if you ever run out of inventory, that messes up your tracking. And so you kind of have to go back to the basics to, depending on how long you're out of stock, of course, to rebuild that ranking again. So there's definitely some other elements as well to consider, so that, when you are striving to hit a certain number of sales, to make sure that you can keep that constant inventory flowing. And then also my other thought was, Amazon is very vague when it comes to communicating with sellers. For instance, if you get your hand slapped, or if you get into suspension world, or get your account frozen and things of that nature, you kind of have to figure things out, and kind of, even with some of their customer support, you kind of have to read between the lines and go from there. But definitely when it comes to analytics, that reports section has a plethora of items that you can kind of get lost in, to really figure out, do I want to know, like you said, what time people are purchasing? Do I want to know, what keyword people are clicking on the most, type thing. But whenever we are looking at Amazon as a whole, like, those, definitely having those keywords from your competitors, having those proper tools in place, and then also understanding, how much information do you need to make the best next move.
Yeah, that was great. I really like that.
I had like 90 thoughts in my head, and it probably came out jumbled, but I was excited.
No, that was fantastic. I really appreciate all the information, all the resources that you're pointing out. It's really great. I'm so grateful. So we have tons of questions from the viewers.
Danielle, before you ask questions, I do want to say that, yeah, it's very easy to geek out and be a nerd about all the data and like knowing about your customers and whatnot, but at the end of the day, 80% of your sales comes from your product images, your copy, and your reviews. So like you can geek out all you want, but if you don't have the sales to be geeking out, it's just not going to happen. So like 80% of your efforts, sometimes I need to like take a step back and remember like what gets me money. And that's focusing on the product images, my copy, getting more reviews, and building a system around that.
Yes. Agreed.
So don't let it distract you from what's really important.
Yes, because it's like a whole world. Amazon is a whole thing. So yeah, just definitely paying attention to the basics and revisiting the basics. It's so beneficial.
Yeah, you talking about, that it's a whole world. It definitely is. I'm learning so much from the two of you, and I thought I knew a lot about SEO coming from Google, but Amazon, no, it's a whole other game. Okay, so we have a question from Ken. Ken says, Amazon SEO is interesting. While that I find my friends are still purchasing online, they'd rather buy locally or buy more from small businesses during the pandemic. Have you found that tendency amongst your network, and did that change your business to a slight degree?
If I understand the question, is he saying because he wants to support small businesses off of Amazon or on Amazon?
It sounds like it, maybe with all the controversy that's going on with Amazon, have you noticed a difference? How are the trends changing, especially during the pandemic?
No. No. Because of the pandemic, many people are starting to get on Amazon and diversify how they're selling. So brick and mortar is definitely like, okay, I never paid attention to my website, or maybe I didn't put enough time and energy into my website, or it'd be great to have another stream of revenue. So we for our clients, we saw increases in sales. And we attributed some of that to just people being home and having time and being bored and just shopping. But then also even afterwards, they're still growing in sales. So small businesses are on Amazon. So by shopping on Amazon doesn't mean that you're only supporting big box or big name brands.
Anything to add, Shawn?
I think you're muted.
I think you're muted.
I am muted. Sorry about that. Completely agree with Andrea. 60% of all sales on Amazon are from third-party sellers. So third-party sellers are mom and pops, your entrepreneur. So really, when you buy on Amazon, most of the time you are supporting a small business.
Yes.
With that being said, in terms of sales, I would say because of the recent pandemic, overall retail shopping has gone down, but online shopping has doubled or increased threefold. So a lot of businesses are doing well if they have been selling on Amazon, with the only caveat being making sure that they've had enough inventory to weather all these supply chain issues that they're going to be experiencing right now, with factories having like half the staff, larger buyers having larger orders because they have forecasted more demand. So now you have to wait for your own production line to start producing goods. I'm exclusively private label. So if you're a retail arbitrager or a wholesaler, most likely you don't have that issue. But for somebody who's focused on building their own brand or managing clients with brands, that supply chain issue could suppress this e-commerce growth that we've seen in the past six months.
Yeah. I'll even add on to that even if you get, let's say your product is sourced from overseas and it gets through customs and it gets shipped to Amazon, there's still a bottleneck at Amazon because they are behind in receiving products. So product that we used to get received in 2 to 3 weeks is now taking 6 to 8 weeks. And so it's and this is where the rubber meets the road. So we have to, if you had systems in place prior to, you made some adjustments. But if you are new to Amazon, you are really trying to figure out how, I just had a big surge in sales, but I can't get more product in. So how's it going to look? Because I placed the order, but the product hasn't got here yet. And so how is that going to work? So I would definitely say, come fourth quarter, when it's time for Black Friday, that surge is going to come again. That's where we're really going to feel the effect. So I tell my clients now, go ahead and start stocking up, start sending product that you can, because Amazon is limiting still some SKUs, some products to Amazon because it's taking so long for them to receive product.
Correct. Actually, just also to add on to that as well, this is a very complicated issue, thinking about it.
It is.
Everyone's bringing up a lot of good points. So right now, Amazon's actually limited all sellers currently based on a score. Like you have like a credit score with Amazon. If you're below that there's certain threshold right now, they've severely penalized what you can send. If you're going to send in new products, untested, no history, you're only able to send in 200 units currently. This hasn't been the case in the past, but
No.
because Amazon's anticipating a double, triple increase in demand, they've actually like made it very hard for sellers, even established sellers, to bring items into the warehouse. So this is where Andrew's saying, like, it's, if you have a system in place, you can mitigate that risk. So what I would recommend right now, everybody who's listening or listening in the future, it's just like right now, like consider looking at 3PL, so a third party warehouse, to funnel your goods into Amazon slowly. Because if you sold a really good product and you just launched 200 units, if it was selling 20 or 30 units a day, that's 7 days of supply. If you don't have that inventory or supply, you can have to start over again in terms of Amazon SEO. So it's more expensive, it's more costly, you don't get reviews, it's just going to be a big hassle. So we're always adapting, we're always changing today.
Yeah, it's really interesting to see how supply chain and just how you run your business from the back end can affect your rankings on the platform.
It actually kind of levels the playing field to an extent, in my perspective, because it gives loopholes for people to jump in and to sell a similar product. But yeah, like, and then so what we're referring to is, FBA, where we're sending product to Amazon's warehouse. And so some of the things that help save my clients is switching it to FBM and having either their company or a third party shipping on their behalf their products. So even though the FBA and the Prime, which didn't really exist during COVID, wasn't there, the product was still available to ship because they had either themselves or a third-party shipper shipping orders that were coming through from Amazon. So there's definitely some strategy there. There's also some foresight there. There's also some hindsight. Amazon is constantly changing, and so we have to constantly adapt. And that's kind of the fun challenge of it, but it can be frustrating because right when you figure something out, they come with another change.
Yeah, that's
Agreed.
always the case.
Agreed.
Okay, we have another question from Jennifer, and Jennifer says, okay, this is a long one. Hi, with email lists and email marketing being considered important for business, how would you suggest for new entrepreneurs to build and keep their brand and customer base? I had just come off watching another live where the person suggested that a new business seller should start selling on Amazon rather than having their own e-commerce business site.
Okay, I don't know if those two things are related, but I can speak to them, and of course, Shawn, you can definitely jump in there as well. So email marketing, you can't contact customers on Amazon unless it's talking about their order that needs to be shipped, delivering and things of that nature. So you're not allowed to. That's why they encrypt the email address and so on, because those are Amazon's customers. So if you want to be able to have them become your customer, and you want to stay within terms of service of Amazon, when you are sending ads to your listings externally to Amazon, you can have them opt in, you can have them to get a discount and provide their email address and so on. There's different ways that you can get their email address or contact information where you can contact them, where they're your customer. Some clients don't want to split their customer base where they have a website and they're emailing the website to go to Amazon. They get the most profit on Amazon. So they don't really like to do that, like to send a whole new customer base to Amazon ads. And so Shawn mentioned an app that you can use to do email marketing to Amazon customers, and you can do, you are very limited in what you can say and how you can say it. But in that, if they know that you are a brand, they can come to your website. You can't put any links. I don't want to lead anybody astray. Don't put any links or anything inside of your email address, inside of your emails to Amazon customers. But if they know that you're a brand, they can easily Google you and become a customer on your page. As far as the second part of the question, or maybe it was just a comment of many people are starting off on Amazon versus their own website. we mentioned earlier that, of course, Amazon has trained their customers to be buyers. So that is definitely one of the reasons why you can just jump in there and start understanding the process, and begin selling your products. I don't think it really matters whether you do a website first or Amazon first. It's just a matter of, where you want to do your research and learn and thrive. And then when you feel like you're at a good place, add the opposite. So yeah, those are my thoughts on that.
Okay, let's move on with the next question because we're running out of time. Another question, someone else asked, what are your thoughts on Amazon merch? I heard that bigger companies and factories would see other people's products and copy and sell them for cheaper.
Are you talking specifically about merch by Amazon, like the printing on demand shirts?
Sounds like it.
Can they confirm? Is that what you're talking about?
And so, Jennifer, if you're watching, could you clarify on this question? Otherwise, we got another question, the last one. Would you recommend or suggest beginners to take an Amazon selling course?
Okay. This one's always very controversial.
Yeah.
I'm gonna name drop something very that's free. It's called the $1 Million Case Study. That's actually what got me selling on Amazon back in 2017. It's free. The concepts are there. You don't need a course to teach you Amazon when there's so much free courses out there. Sorry, paid courses. In terms of, when people are like, oh, but what if I'm not good enough, or what if I don't know enough? You just need to know 50% of the information to get 80% of your total sales results. Everything else will come with time, experience, learning, picking. All your efforts are always compounded, right? So you just put in work every single day, learn one new thing a day, everything adds up in the end. I mean,
I like that.
Yeah, there's no silver bullet. So it's going to be some blood, sweat, tears, and money involved. But I would agree. You don't need to pay for content. It's out there. I would only pay for guidance, like to be able to ask questions, to get feedback, to get hands-on support, or things of that nature. And that's where the dollar will determine what kind of person that you work with. But that was very helpful for me, was to have someone say, okay, you've done this, that's great, you followed what you knew, but let's make these tweaks, let's do this, over here you could have massaged these words this way. That's what we can't get from the YouTube videos and the Google and so on. Or the Helium 10, which has amazing content as well.
Also, join a mastermind. Find people who are like-minded, good people. My own personal mastermind, we're all around the same level. So you want to find people around the same level. So it's about 4 of us right now, and I've grown so much because of them. What I thought was possible wasn't possible, got broken because of them.
That's fascinating. So there are Amazon I'm part of a mastermind as well, but we all have very different businesses, all service related. So there are Amazon masterminds.
Yeah, definitely.
Wow. This really is its own world.
Yes. I mean, and that's such a great point, because it wasn't until I saw someone doing like over $200 million a month in sales.
Wow.
That I on Amazon, that my mind was blown. And I'd seen like the 100,000, the 50,000, and that excited me. But it wasn't until I saw that moment that I was like, I need to get around people who are not only the same pace as me, but ahead of me, so that I know what's available. And when you have those hard where you lost money, or your inventory got locked up, or Amazon locked you out of your account for whatever reason, and you're going through these different hoops, you have the vision and you remember that everyone's gone through something. Everyone's had an issue with Amazon in some way, form, or fashion, but this is my goal and this is what I'm here for.
Yeah, very well said. And that could be applied for any aspect of your business, no matter what business you're in. It's the same advice can apply. So Jennifer said, yes, print on demand, POD. to the last question about Amazon merchandise.
Andrew, you want to take a stab at it? Have you done merch before?
I have not done merch, and this is the interesting thing. I know about merch. I know the different strategies for merch, and merch is a whole different beast because you are creating variations of the same design, and you are putting it out there, and you're trying to get as many different designs out there as possible to get to the next tier. So it's a whole different approach than private label. Because we're trying to focus on selling this one type of product. So if I remember correctly, the question was, what do you think about people who are knocking other designs off? Is that was the question?
Yeah.
Okay. So, well, I think it's similar to, you know, if it's, let's say it was Disney. Let's say they may knock up of Disney. You would follow certain steps to notify Amazon that someone has knocked something off, whether it's yours or whether it's a trademarked item, and you have to prove it. And then from there, let Amazon take the wheel and decide how to handle that seller. And they may close that account, they may do nothing. And that's the frustrating but weird thing about Amazon is that there's enough for everyone. So even if someone is doing whatever they're doing, and it's taking from your sales, I always ask the question of how. So, okay, I don't care what happened, but how can I grow from this, learn from this, innovate myself from the situation so that I'm able to create even another stream? Because it's not, you don't have to focus on one listing. If it's your star listing, I understand that it hurts, and I'm sorry, tough tootsies, we gotta keep it moving.
Yeah, I agree. Every product has a life cycle. You know, everything good in business comes to an end. When everyone sees you're making money, specifically in Amazon, that's when the certain sellers come in and
like vultures.
I'll say it like this. The lifestyle in North America, the cost of living is much higher. In other countries, the cost of living is much lower, and they're much closer to certain factories. So when they see that you're making a lot of money, they can immediately copy your idea, bring it over at a much lower cost. So that's why branding, and to Andrew's point, focusing on what's your niche, what's your differentiator, what's going to make you better, keep innovating, and that's what's going to keep you in the game longer.
Yeah, because and you have to think, like, there are hundreds of thousands, if not millions, of sellers on Amazon. So Amazon is moving at their pace, and we have no idea what that pace is. And so if they never rectify that situation, and if you wait on them, you're going to lose out on opportunities. And so that's why you have opportunities to create more listings, sell in different ways, things of that nature. And you just have to keep moving, because like you said, the opportunity cost, innovating yourself, that makes a difference, because it's sink or swim sometimes. And sometimes, especially now that Amazon has opened up the opportunity to sell on the US and Canada platform to international sellers, the opportunity to knock off a product has become that much greater. So the same applies, I think, no matter how you're selling.
Wow. It's very cutthroat, it sounds.
Yeah, we were pretty light on the bad side of Amazon.
I know. That's just the tip of the iceberg. We haven't even got into the real stuff.
Well, we can leave it for another day. We're at the 1 hour mark, and I don't want to take up more of your time. But I want to thank you so much for sharing so much and answering all of these questions. For anyone that's watching, if you have more questions, you can let us know in the comments. And then Andrea and Shawn, if you want, you can check them out later on this week and answer them if you'd like. So yeah, if you want to know more about you, where we can find Andrea at andreathomascollective.com, right? And Shawn at blackcompass.digital.
Yes.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much. And that's all. Have a good one.